Good evening, my friends. Today we are back again, and today our topic of discussion is Shakespeare's Macbeth. Okay. Now, if you are to name four major tragedies of Shakespeare, they are undoubtedly Hamlet, Macbeth, King Lear, and Othello. Now, in your previous semester, you have come across the definition, scope and outline of the literary genre known as tragedy. According to Aristotle, we know that it's a drama with some unhappy ending, and the process, the journey of the protagonist or the character begins from ignorance and ultimately ends in knowledge. But in practical fields, the tragic hero starts his journey from happiness to misery. So there is a very contradictory kind of relationship between happiness and misery, of course, and also in terms of their respective relationship with knowledge and ignorance. Now, if we analyze the journey of the tragic hero, psychological journey that the readers come across while reading or watching a tragedy, is that the tragic hero starts his journey and very soon he negotiates a conflict of choice, and it's the condition of the art of tragedy that he makes the wrong choice, and there comes into play the concepts of hamartia, error of judgment, hubris, that is his ego or the defect in the character, and ultimately there is peripety and anagnorisis. Peripety means reversal of fortune, and this reversal of fortune enlists two particular emotions from the readers or the spectators. They are pity and terror. You remember all these terms you studied during your last semester. And ultimately there is anagnorisis, and through the process of catharsis. You remember? So, keeping all such basic properties of tragedy, we are now going to discuss about Shakespeare's Macbeth. Now, Aristotle's poetics was totally based upon Greek tragedies of Sophocles, Euripides, and we know that Oedipus, the trilogy of Oedipus, that was the primary available form of tragedy on the basis of which Aristotle framed his theory on tragedy, and he outlined all this in his seminal book, Poetics. Now, when we come to the tragedies of Shakespeare, we notice a sea change in the very attitude of the writers of tragedy. For example, in Greek tragedy, more or less, we find that it is very much fatalistic in character. That is, if we analyze the profile of Agamemnon or Oedipus and other characters, we have the feeling that their end is a foregone conclusion. Everything is already designed and the character only has to play the role. For example, if we take into consideration the case of Oedipus, basically he was a sensible man, and when he came to know of the forecast that in his destiny he is going to commit to worst kinds of sins, that is patricide. He will kill his father and marry his own mother. So immediately after knowing this kind of evil possibility, he leaves Corinth. Because he was under the impression that he was living, Corinth was his own kingdom, and his stepfather, the Polybus and Merope, the king and the queen, those who reared or brought up Oedipus as their own child, They were not the real parents of Oedipus. So Oedipus was under the impression that Polybus and Merope were his parents. So in order to avoid these kinds of scenes, that is patricide and incest, killing the father, marrying the mother, he basically, as a very sentient and honest person, he left Corinth. So I mentioned this incident only to analyze, only to emphasize the point that in Greek tragedy, the role of character is very much limited. The conflict of choice is there already, as it is in every kind of tragedy, in every age and time. But in Greek tragedy, actually, the destiny of the character or the tragic hero was almost sealed. There was no way out. There was no respite. And as a result, by peculiar tricks of circumstances, when Oedipus came to his own country without knowing that this is his own country, this is his own kingdom, and the king that he has killed was his own father, and the queen he married was none other than his own mother. So you see that the very journey of the character is dictated by some uncontrollable powers that is working above our head. So in a word, fatalistic, deterministic, luck, coincidence, chance, destiny, these are all powerful. But still, character has its own dignity in every form of tragedy, classical or modern. But with Shakespeare, the very concept of tragedy is going to be revolutionized. And in his character, we come to see that character is destiny. The powers that are working above our head, they are very much there. They are working, they are playing their own roles to fit human beings into their own schemes. But still, human beings have much to play out of his own accord. So whatever he does practically decides the course of his experience. Now, Shakespeare's all four tragedies I have already mentioned. What are they? King Lear, Hamlet, Macbeth, and Othello. These are all characterized by A.C. Bradley, the greatest of Shakespearean critics, that these are all the tragedies of character, because character is destiny. In Hamlet, we experience the tragedy of thought. Hamlet is so much, hypersensitive, so much thoughtful, that he loses the power of his action. And this extremely brooding type, this getting overburdened with to be or not to be. Okay, this kind of, he is known as the prisoner of indecision. He cannot take the decision. So that was his tragedy. In Macbeth, we come across the tragedy of ambition. We will come to it later on. And in Othello, it is the tragedy of love. And in King Lear, we get the tragedy of ego, pride. King Lear. Now, when we take up Macbeth, we come across a different kind of tragedy, exclusively which forms a class of its own. Because in tragedy, we find that there is a hero, there is a traditional villain, right? But in Macbeth, the case is unique because in Macbeth, the hero and the villain are the same person. Macbeth is the hero, Macbeth is the villain. But interestingly, Shakespeare's Macbeth is important for a number of reasons. Okay, more than one. And most important of them is that it is exclusively a tragedy which concentrates on the study of evil. E-V-I-L, capital. Evil means the antithesis to good. Whatever is not good, whatever is that is evil. And that's why, interestingly, the play begins with a witch scene, you remember? And throughout Shakespeare's career, it is rarely seen that the play is going to begin with a supernatural scene or a scene with some supernatural agents. We find that three witches come and they exchange among themselves some words and expressions which are peculiarly known to themselves, not clear to the human ear. Okay, we cannot make out the ABC of what they are saying. And before that, regarding ambition, what I was talking about is that Shakespeare's tragedies are essentially tragedies of character, and in Shakespeare's Macbeth, it is the tragedy of ambition. Now, ambition is a human quality. Ambition is a quality of a superior life, right? To a certain extent, a very docile kind of, dull kind of human being and an ambitious fellow. So the second one is easily preferable. Ambition is a test or a sign of a better kind of life or better kind of sensibility. It's all right. But when this ambition becomes overriding, when this becomes faulting ambition, that is exactly the word Shakespeare uses here. And at one stage of the play, Macbeth himself diagnoses his defect. And he uses the term, quote unquote, vaulting ambition. Ambition that vaults, that cannot restrain or control itself. Okay, it is very much like a rider riding on the horseback. But if he makes a bigger leap, he will fall down on the other side. So this is exactly what happens with Macbeth. And in Shakespeare's Macbeth, we see, and in Shakespeare's Macbeth, we find that it is admittedly a study of the tragedy caused by Shakespeare's Macbeth's vaulting ambition. And as because Shakespeare's Macbeth is a study of evil, quite interestingly, the play begins with a witch scene. No human agent is found. It is very much interesting to note. And it is a conscious artistic strategy of Shakespeare just to begin the play with a witch scene. Now, here also we have to take into account that Shakespeare was a commercial playwright of the Elizabethan age, and he was well aware of the Elizabethan taste, the taste of the Elizabethan public to see witches, magic, sorcery, everything on the stage. So exactly what Shakespeare did here is to cater to the public taste and demand, for the supernatural. Now, today we will stop with the discussion of the opening scene. Now, in a play or in a novel, the opening scene practically sets the ball of action rolling, and that sets the tone and temper of the play. That is exactly what is found in Shakespeare's Macbeth. We find here that three witches come, and it's a desert place. Okay, and in desert there is thunder and lightning. So exactly what is happening here is totally contrary to natural order. In one word, we experience here the inversion of the natural order. The natural order is inverted. Okay, or reversed. So this is something uncanny, something unbelievable, something mysterious, and naturally the spectators or the readers experience at the very opening of the play something very much mysterious, and that was the intention of Shakespeare here, because this play is a peculiar. I want to remind you time and again that this is a peculiar kind of play where the hero and the villain are the one and the same person, and which concentrates on the study of evil. So naturally we see that three witches come. Now I just want to read out something. Thunder and lightning enter three witches. The first witch, when shall we three meet again in thunder, lightning or rain? Okay. Thunder, lightning or rain. Now these are all terrestrial events, of course, natural phenomena, but these are not very common and usually found, not a daily kind of phenomenon. That is exactly what I mean to say here. And this is the appropriate kind of background. This is the appropriate kind of background for the display of the forces of the evil. Right? Because it's a desert place. In desert places, there are seldom one can find, thunder, lightning, or rain. But this is exactly what is happening in the first scene of Macbeth here. And it's a blasted place, it's a burnt out place, it's not a good place, and there it's a desert place, and there thunder, lightning and rain, and three witches, three weird sisters, they come. They are not human beings. And they speak in verse, yes. This is also Shakespeare's conscious artistic strategy to design the language of the witches in verse, to cater poetry to the witches and prose to the human beings. Very interesting parts. Okay. And the second which says, when the hurly-burly is done, hurly-burly means commotion. Okay. Confusion, commotion, conundrum, the topsy-turvydom of situations, hurly-burly. So, right at the beginning we sense something mysterious, something unholy, something uncanny, something mischievous, because these are very evil kinds of spirits, isn't it? They are not human beings, and they have come, they have met, and they are exchanging some queer or what is called cryptic, C-R-Y-P-T-I-C, cryptic kinds of words. That is very much like a code language. Okay, mysterious. They have some meaning. These kinds of words, these words have a meaning only to themselves, not clear to the human ear. So these are practically the tricks or the props with which Shakespeare creates the unique impression that is deserving in the case of the study of Macbeth, because it's a peculiar and it's a special kind of tragedy where the hero and the villain are the one and the same person. I time and again remind you this point. You have to keep in mind. So reading Macbeth with a different kind of mindset is quite necessary. Okay, let us proceed. In thunder, lightning and rain, and when the battle is lost and won. Another very enigmatic, equivocal kind of state. Equivocation means having double meaning. A battle cannot be won and lost at the same time. So what kind of battle? So these are the questions. These are the questions of the riddles, or better called enigma, যেটাকে আমরা বাংলায় বলি হিয়ালি. Okay, so these are the things that Shakespeare practically encounters, makes us encounter with in the very opening, in the very beginning of the play. When the battle is lost and won. Now Shakespeare's Macbeth, as the hints of the very opening scene, is very much also rich in the study of dramatic irony. Irony means having a statement having double meaning, okay, double intention. We come across a twilight of some double vision, positive, negative. We'll come to that later on in details. When the battle is lost and won means in the background one battle is going on, and we will come to know that it's a battle at the physical level. It's a battle between Scotland and Norway. Okay, England, all other allied armies, particularly Norway. So one battle is being fought. Macbeth is a trusted general in the Scottish army. He is also fighting there. So there is a possibility, there is an announcement, clear indication of the battle between Scotland and Norway, and the battles being lost or won. So Scotland will win the battle. So at one level, one battle is going to be won, W-O-N. But another level, at the moral world, at the level of the conflict between good and evil. Okay, in our moral world, some battle is going to be lost. Because we human beings are always encountering, okay, a constant battle between good and evil within us. remember. So Macbeth is a study of evil, okay, and there are the symptoms and omens in the very words and expressions of these peculiar creatures. Now let us continue. That will be, third witch says, that will be at the set of sun, means the time is almost nearing sunset. So the sun is setting, and this battle, which battle? Between Scotland and Norway, this battle is going to be finalized. It will be won in favor of Scotland. Scotland is obviously going to win the battle at one level, but another battle, someone is going to lose. What is that battle? It is the battle between good and evil. Good is going to surrender to evil. There are these kinds of suggestions. Okay? First witch, where the place means when will this second level of battle, the second event of loss in the battle is going to take place? The hint is that upon the heath, blasted place, burnt out place. So something is going to happen. Third witch says, there to meet with Macbeth. Another stroke of wonder. We feel surprised that how do these evil creatures know the name of Macbeth, number one, and what the hell, the kind of business they can have with Macbeth. So these are the questions. These are the questions, practically the questions have the answers implied in them. The questions itself, the questions themselves contain the answers that we come to know, we come to sense that there may be some unholy alliance or evil connection between these spirits and our hero Macbeth. Okay? And then they respond, these evil spirits respond to the call of their pets. Okay? I come Grimalkin. Grimalkin is the name of a cat. So the first witch has her courier or pet as cat. And the second witch, Paddock, called Paddock. Paddock is the traditional name of a, toad. Okay? And third witch, Anon. Third witch also says that soon I will also go. And then they utter something. They constitute a ring. They dance in a ring and they utter together. These are the very key words, key sentences, key expression to know the very tone and temper of the play. What is that? Fair is foul and foul is fair. Hover through the fog and fill the air. This expression is very much rich in what I mentioned earlier as dramatic irony. Shakespeare's Macbeth is a study of evil, clear, and these are the evil agents, these are the agents of evil, these are the supernatural agents, okay, we know, no doubt. So, their mantra or their motto or their motivation is that to turn every fair or good in the world of man into foul. Okay. And whatever is foul for the human beings are fair or good or useful or profitable for them, because their method of calculation is totally different from that of the human intelligence. So fair is foul and foul is fair. Hover through the fog and fill the air. Fog and fill the air, in keeping with the very subject of the first scene. Okay, desert place, thunder, lightning and rain. It's a place of foul smell. Okay, fog. So these are all unwelcome natural kinds of elements that are practically, fitting to this background of evil, where evil has taken the total mastery of things and goodness is going to suffer some kind of eclipse for a long time. Though at the end of every tragedy there is knowledge, there is light. At the end of the tunnel there is light, So every tragedy teaches us something, okay, it gives us a good lesson. So at the end of the play we'll come to see that ultimately goodness is victorious, okay, it becomes victorious, good is a victor and ultimately Macbeth's life and career will come to an end. That's a different story. But today I just wanted to discuss the very characteristics of the opening scene through which Shakespeare has set the tone of his entire play Macbeth. So thank you very much. See you again in our next class.